Good to have you with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary on this Tuesday edition from the nation's capital. If you think that Donald Trump isn't having an impact on the President of the United States, you can think again. The President, speaking to the UN today, talks about Trump. Now, my interpretation of that is that the President is not confident that Hillary Clinton can win this election, and it's a signal to the world, you know what, you better watch out because America's going to change. From Obama's view of things. President took a shot at the Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, on Tuesday at his final address at the United Nations. Think about that. This is the last time that Barack Obama is going to speak to the United Nations, and he spends his time not on global issues, but on Donald Trump. It's almost a left-handed compliment. Without mentioning Trump by name, Obama lashed out at the crude populism. Well, my answer to that is whatever works. And right now, it's too close to call in Ohio. It's too close to call in Florida. It's too close to call nationwide. And the media can play with these maps all they want and tell me how Hillary's going to get to 270 before Trump. Guess what? How many polls have been wrong? This is going to go to the wire. And these most recent terrorist attacks that have unfolded in Minnesota and also New York and New Jersey open the door wide open for Donald Trump to talk about the ineptitude of the Obama administration and keeping the country safe, whether it's the truth or not. It is just serving up all kinds of base bait to those who already think Trump is going to win and they want him to win. It's going to motivate him to work for him. That's how I view it. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. And I think he's going to ride this all the way through the debates, because it gives Trump a narrative on what he has been saying all along. He has talked about immigration from day one. If you look at the crowds that he's talking to, they're eating this stuff up, that our laws aren't strict enough, that we're not following the laws, that there's too many falling through the cracks. And he's ginning up a tremendous amount of confidence, I think, in his base. I want more on this from Richard Viguerie, godfather of the conservative movement and chairman of conservativehq.com, who is not a huge Trump fan, but I think he likes Trump better than Hillary Clinton. Mr. Viguerie, good to have you with us.
Always a pleasure, Ed. And, you know, you don't really need me on this call. I agree with everything you said so far. I think you're dead on.
Well, the analysis of it is it gives Trump an opening and a narrative, and it plays into what he has been talking about all along. And it in a sense, puts Clinton on the defensive, saying about what she has done instead of what she is going to do. And folks, if you make the differentiation here, this gives Trump an opportunity to talk about what he's going to do, what hasn't been done. And this puts Hillary Clinton somewhat in a box as running as a third term of President Obama, saying what they have done. And a lot of Americans don't think that's enough. That's not a partisan comment. That, I think, is where the election is right now. Mr. Viguerie, your thoughts on all this?
Well, as I said, Ed, I think you're exactly right. In many ways, you know, Ed, I think this is 1980. And in 1980, people had made, in my opinion, a conscious decision. They were uncomfortable with going forward with Jimmy Carter. They wanted to make a change, but they weren't going to make a change just to go from the frying pan to the fire. They really had to feel comfortable with whoever they would replace Carter with. And in that one and only debate they had, Reagan made America feel comfortable with him as a replacement. They didn't have to like him, didn't have to agree with him on all the issues. They just had to be comfortable that he could function competently as president. And I think we're in the same situation. These debates, everybody uses the word huge, but it really is true. And if Trump makes people feel comfortable with him as president, Democrats are going to be in a whole heck of a lot of trouble here, I think.
And you bring up 1980, Mr. Viguerie. Interesting. Wasn't it Ronald Reagan at that time who asked the American people, ask yourself the question, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Does that play now?
Absolutely, it does. And Hillary, as you said, is running for Obama's third term. I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think the Democrats want that. In the last 150 years, the Democrats have only won a presidential race 3 times in a row once. and that was Roosevelt. And I just think that running for Obama's third term is not a good strategy. And if Trump uses that, that's going to be very damaging to the Democrats.
But if it weren't Hillary Clinton and if it were some other Democrat, that case could be made against Bernie Sanders. That case could have been made against any Democrat saying it's the third term of Obama, couldn't it? I mean...
Oh, absolutely. No, it's not just Hillary.
It's not Hillary's fault, you know.
No, it's not her fault, but it's a reality. It is hard for any party to elect a president 3 times in a row. Republicans have done it a number of times in the last 150 years. The Democrats have only done it once. It's very, very difficult, and our economy is not strong. We've got a lot of issues out there: national security, border control, Obamacare is starting to stink up the place out there. So, running for the third term is a heavy burden to carry into this election.
Mr. Viguerie, let me ask you this. Why don't the Republicans have a replacement for Obamacare? I mean, they have voted it down. They put it to the president's desk. He didn't sign it, obviously. They took over 50 votes in the House, but they've never come to the American people saying, you know what, we got a better deal for the 20 million people who are being covered now in addition to what we had before. Why haven't the Republicans done that?
Well, one, politically, it hasn't been necessary. They've done quite well without a specific plan. And, you know, if you can avoid giving your opponents a target to shoot at, you want to do that. And Democrats would like to have a target to shoot at, and the Republicans are denying them one. And it's worked very well in 2010, 2014.
So when Donald Trump says he's not going to let people die in the street, that's the best we're going to get out of him on a health care plan. I mean, there are 20 million people who do have health care that didn't have it before because of this federal law. And if Obamacare is repealed by a Republican House and Senate and President, they're out in the street.
Well, not really, Ed. They certainly will be taken care of, and I think we all know that they're not going to be out on the street. And they've been moved into basically a low-grade Medicaid, and the health outcome I was just reading is really not that different than what they had before. So it's a marginal benefit at best for these 20 million people, and it's just it's a real albatross around the Democrats' neck in Ohio and in Pennsylvania and other states out there. It's a gift that keeps giving to the Republicans.
Well, not to debate you on this issue because I am very partisan on this healthcare issue, but the fact is that if the law passes, then insurance companies can drop people who are sick. The pre-existing condition is gone. I don't hear the Republicans. In fact, I think that if Donald Trump were to come out and to guarantee those Americans that they're not going to lose their insurance if they get rid of Obamacare, and this is what it's going to be, it might play to his favor. All right, I want to move forward now to Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. From your experience, what impact are they going to have? Whose camp are they bleeding?
Well, Gary Johnson's very interesting, as you probably know. He's got support from the millenniums, people who supported Bernie Sanders, as well as traditional libertarian votes. And I've been feeling good about Gary Johnson's poll numbers, 8, 9, 10 points, because we all know that in the last weeks of the campaign, the third-party candidates' support collapses, and they lose 75, 80% or more of their support. So my thinking, Ed, has been that, well, these people are, if he loses 80%, that's going to be almost all votes that are going to go to Trump, because number one problem that libertarians have with Republicans is the social issues, and that doesn't play with Trump. They're not going to be concerned about the cultural, social issues with Trump. So I saw that's a big pickup for Trump there from these Gary Johnson votes that go away from him in the closing weeks. But apparently it looks like a lot of that support is coming from Bernie Sanders people. So if they also leave and go then to Hillary, you know, it looks like maybe a wash there.
Why is Ohio close? Why is Florida close? Polls all over the place, too close to call, within a point, within 2 points. Your thoughts?
Well, people do really want to change, and they're just people are just tired of it. And Hillary is not playing well, and people say, "Whoa, it's too bad." A lot of Republicans, never Trumpers, say, any other Republican could have beaten Clinton in this election. Not so. She's having all these problems, Ed, because Trump, unlike Kasich, unlike Jeb Bush, is just pounding her and driving her numbers down. Not any Republican would have done that. So, the Democrats have just continued to the left. You can just move so far to the left without leaving America behind. And the Democrat Party is very, very different now than it was just 20 years ago. Bill Clinton couldn't get the Democratic nomination today. The Democrat Party just moved too far left, I think, for the American people.
What impact do you think the debates will have?
Well, it's a cliche to say it's huge, but it really is huge.
Let me put it this way. Let me ask you this way. Do you think one candidate can put the other away with a good debate performance?
Oh, absolutely. It could either side could blow the other one away here. But I just, talk among conservatives is we just consider the Republican Party as the stupid party, and agreeing to these moderators on the debates is just insanity. They've lost election after election by having partisan moderators there, Candy Crowley, George Stephanopoulos from the last cycle, and to agree to these moderators, it's insanity. Democrats are too smart to do anything like that, Ed. 2008, they would not debate on Fox. They said, we're not going to go on this Republican, moderators debate. We're just not going to do it. They're too smart. Republicans do it for some stupid reason.
Do you have any reservations about Donald Trump's temperament having the nuclear codes?
Not at all. Not at all. That's a scenario I think Democrats are trying to float out there as they did in 1964. I remember very clearly when they did the same thing to Goldwater. They tried to do the same thing with Ronald Reagan, and Reagan in that debate put people's fears to rest. But that's something that the Democrats are going to bring up here. But
so he does not have a temperament issue, in your opinion?
Beg pardon?
He does not have a temperament issue. I mean, the Democrats have been pounding on this, saying he's not fit. Robert Gates, former defense secretary under Bush and Obama, came out and said that he thought that Trump was off the rails on foreign policy. I mean, there's just been a lot of negative comments about his personality not fitting the job.
Well, they're grabbing onto whatever straws are available, and the foreign policy establishment knows they're going to be out of jobs. They're not going to get ambassador positions. They're not going to get high-ranking appointments if Trump is the president. We're having a new, as I've talked to you before, it is disruption in politics is right here. It is here, yeah. And the old coalition of the establishment Republicans and the grassroots conservatives, and we were the minority party, the grassroots minority partnership in that relationship. That relationship is broken. It is going away now. And it's a new relationship that is formed, and that's the Trump populist married now with the grassroots conservatives. And in that coalition, I think we're going to be the senior partners. But there's a new coalition, and the old establishment, big government Republicans, George Bush types, their days are over with in terms of being influential in the Republican Party. Those days are never coming back.
So George H.W. Bush, the senior, saying he's going to vote for Hillary, that doesn't faze any conservatives?
No, we say his true colors are now coming out.
Okay,
and now we can get about governing the country without having to worry about these big government Republicans. Richard
Viguerie, Godfather of Conservative Movement, Chairman of ConservativeHQ.com. Mr. Viguerie, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bet. Thank you. More coming up after this. Stay with us.
Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about BioGreen Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, WeGotEd.com, or go to biogreenclean.com, www.biogreenclean, and order today. It's time to continue our conversation about mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation is for the piping systems in our nation's commercial and industrial facilities. Facility owners are burning up billions of dollars through the lack of mechanical insulation on these piping systems. Call the iSave team. Insulation saves America valuable energy, and this team of energy conservation specialists is shovel-ready to save you money. Visit iSaveTeam.org to have a specialist give your plant an energy audit.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Ed Schultz News and Commentary on this website, ringofireradio.com, rawstory.com, and wegoted.com. We'll see you on the news tonight, 8 o'clock. You can go to rt.com, click on the news with Ed, and watch it. We'll see you. Thanks.